Here are the stories shaping the world this morning and why they matter. Extreme heat is continuing across Europe, with temperatures topping 40 degrees Celsius in France, Germany, and the Czech Republic, and with several places reporting disruptions to public life and infrastructure. The heat has reached record levels. AFP reported that Germany hit a new all-time high of 41.5 degrees Celsius on Saturday, after reaching 41.3 degrees the day before. The Czech Republic recorded 40.8 degrees Celsius on Saturday, also according to AFP. Germany was bracing for temperatures up to 42 degrees Celsius, according to DW, while parts of France also climbed above 40 degrees. The impact is being felt well beyond weather charts. In Germany, heat caused deformation and cracking on some highway surfaces, creating hazards for drivers, transport workers, and emergency crews. In Hungary, rising water temperatures in the Danube River affected operations at a nearby nuclear power plant that uses river water for cooling. That is a reminder that extreme heat is not only a health issue, but an infrastructure issue. One that touches power supply, roads, transit, and the basic systems families rely on. In Paris, French media reported that 109 people died within the previous 24 hours, not including deaths in hospitals. That number is deeply serious, and it points to the particular risks faced by older people, people with health conditions, outdoor workers, people without stable housing, and those living in apartments that are difficult to cool. Public events were also affected. Some streets and music festivals were canceled as temperatures climbed. In Budapest, a pride march went ahead despite the heat, even as the conditions placed added pressure on organizers, participants, health workers, and city services. The larger issue for governments is how to protect people as heat waves become more severe and more disruptive. Heat planning is now a public safety task, not just a seasonal inconvenience. It means timely warnings, cooling spaces, protections for workers, support for hospitals and care homes, and infrastructure built for hotter conditions. Behind the headline, temperatures are real workers and families trying to get through dangerous days, and public agencies trying to keep essential services running. In Venezuela, international rescue teams are continuing to search for survivors after two powerful earthquakes struck the country on Wednesday in back-to-back events. Authorities have confirmed more than 1,400 deaths. National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez said 1,130 people were confirmed dead and 3,238 injured. Tens of thousands of people remain missing or unaccounted for. DW reported that tens of thousands remained missing, and a private website listed more than 50,000 people as unaccounted for as of Saturday night. The rescue effort remains urgent. Aid agencies and rescuers have described the first 48 to 72 hours after a disaster as crucial for finding survivors alive, but teams often continue to find people after that window, especially when families, neighbors, and rescue crews keep searching through unstable debris. One moment of hope came Saturday in La Guaira, where Colombian rescuers pulled an 11-year-old boy from the rubble. Rescues like that do not erase the scale of the loss, but they do explain why crews keep working through exhaustion, heat, dust, and danger. For families waiting near collapsed buildings, each hour brings both fear and the possibility of news. More than 2,000 rescue workers have arrived from various countries. Their work is not only about heavy equipment and search teams. It also means medical care for the injured, support for displaced families, and the difficult task of identifying victims and reconnecting people who have been separated. For ordinary Venezuelans, the effects are immediate and personal. Lost homes, damaged neighborhoods, interrupted work, children out of school, and families searching for relatives. Disasters expose the strength and the limits of public systems all at once. Hospitals, local authorities, volunteers, and international teams are now part of the same effort. Saving people who can still be reached, treating those who survived, and beginning a long recovery for communities that have lost far too much. The days ahead will bring more confirmed figures, but the priority this morning remains search and rescue. The numbers matter because they show the scale of the emergency. The individual rescues matter because they show why the work continues. In the Gulf region, U.S. Central Command says American forces carried out additional strikes on targets in Iran after alleged Iranian drone attacks on commercial shipping near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM said U.S. military aircraft attacked drone storage facilities and other targets in Iran on Saturday. The command said the strikes were a response to what it called continued Iranian aggression against commercial shipping near the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. said Iranian forces launched a drone attack on a Panama-flagged tanker on Saturday U.S. Eastern Time. CENTCOM had also announced strikes on Friday after an alleged Iranian drone attack on a Singapore-flagged cargo ship. President Donald Trump said the attacks for a second consecutive day were in response to Iran violating a ceasefire agreement again. He wrote that the United States could be forced to militarily complete the job if violations continued. The escalation comes after the United States and Iran signed a memorandum of understanding earlier in the month that included a ceasefire. That ceasefire is now under strain, according to the reports, and the risk is that each new strike and counterclaim makes diplomacy harder. The immediate concern is the safety of crews aboard commercial ships. Tanker workers and cargo crews are civilians doing difficult jobs, often far from home, and they are exposed when military tensions spill into shipping lanes. Their families are also affected, waiting for information when vessels are targeted or delayed. There are broader economic stakes as well. Disruptions to commercial shipping can ripple through supply chains, ports, insurance costs, and the daily work of people who move goods around the world. That does not mean panic is warranted. It does mean governments have a responsibility to keep the focus on de-escalation, verification, and civilian protection. The United States is framing its strikes as a response to attacks on shipping. Iran's role, as described by U.S. officials, is alleged in the specific drone incidents cited by CENTCOM. In moments like this, careful language matters, because claims made by governments can shape military action, public opinion, and the choices available to diplomats. What is new this morning is the second consecutive day of U.S. strikes, the reported attack on a Panama-flagged tanker, and the warning from President Trump that further ceasefire violations could trigger more military action. The question now is whether the ceasefire memorandum can still be preserved, or whether both sides move deeper into confrontation. For people in the region, including sailors, port workers, and families living near potential targets, the hope is that political leaders choose the path that reduces danger rather than expands it. A ceasefire only works if it is upheld, monitored, and treated as a tool for protecting lives, not just as a document signed and then left to collapse. In Japan, the minister in charge of Okinawa affairs has visited a beach near the site of a fatal March boat accident involving students from Kyoto's Doshisha International Senior High School. Kika Wadal Hitoshi was the first cabinet minister to visit the site since the accident. He offered flowers, observed a moment of silence, and expressed anger and deep sorrow over what happened. The accident occurred off the Henokor district of Nagor City, where two boats carrying students capsized. A student and a boat captain were killed. The students had been taking part in a school peace study connected to the area, where construction work has been underway for a U.S. military base relocation. The boats had been used to protest the base move. The minister criticized the use of protest boats for a school peace study and said accidents like this should never happen. He also said peace studies should take place in safe, secure, and politically neutral venues in Okinawa. The visit brings together several difficult issues: student safety, education about peace and war, the political tensions surrounding U.S. military facilities in Okinawa, and the responsibilities of schools when students are taken into contested public spaces. For the families of the student and the captain who died, the political debate cannot be separated from grief. A school activity became fatal, and officials are now facing questions about risk, planning, and judgment. For the students who survived, the experience is likely to remain with them long after the formal investigation and public statements end. Okinawa has long carried a heavy share of the burden of U.S. military presence in Japan, and discussions around base relocation are deeply felt by local communities. Peace education in that setting is not abstract. It is tied to history, land, safety, identity, and daily life. But the minister's visit emphasizes another point. Civic learning, including learning about contested issues, has to protect students first. Schools can help young people understand political conflict, but they also have to make sure that educational programs are age-appropriate, carefully supervised, and physically safe. The constructive response now is accountability that is serious without becoming performative. That means understanding why the boats capsized, who approved the activity, what safety measures were in place, and how future peace studies can be conducted without putting students in danger. It also means listening to families and local communities as they balance grief, memory, and politics. What is new is the cabinet-level attention. By becoming the first cabinet minister to visit the site, Kika Wadal Hitoshi placed the accident more firmly in the national conversation. His message was clear: peace education matters, but it must not come at the cost of student safety. In Pakistan, officials say militants attacked a paramilitary base in Karachi on Saturday night, killing and wounding several troops. The Pakistani military said security forces killed 3 attackers and captured a 4th. Operations were launched to track down more accomplices. A breakaway group of the Pakistani Taliban claimed responsibility shortly after the attack. Karachi is one of Pakistan's largest and most economically important cities, and an attack on a paramilitary base there carries both security and civilian implications. The immediate losses are being felt by the troops who were killed or wounded and by their families. For residents nearby, attacks like this can bring road closures, searches, uncertainty, and fear about whether more violence may follow. Officials have not given a full public accounting of the number of troops killed and wounded beyond saying several were affected. What has been confirmed is the core sequence. The base was attacked on Saturday night. 3 attackers were killed, 1 was captured, and security operations continued afterward. The claim of responsibility by a breakaway group of the Pakistani Taliban adds to long-standing concerns about militant networks and splinter factions that can carry out attacks even when larger groups are under pressure. For security forces, the challenge is not only responding to the immediate assault, but identifying how the attackers planned the operation, who supported them, and whether additional accomplices remain active. For ordinary people, the priority is stability and accountability. Families want to know that bases, neighborhoods, and public spaces are being protected without entire communities being treated as suspects. Workers need to be able to travel safely. Children need schools to remain open. Hospitals and emergency responders need clear access when violence breaks out. The measured response is to separate necessary security operations from collective punishment. Tracking armed accomplices is a legitimate task for the state. So is protecting civil rights, keeping the public informed, and avoiding steps that deepen mistrust in communities already living with insecurity. What is new this morning is that the attack has moved from an active assault to an ongoing investigation and search operation. Pakistani authorities say 1 attacker is in custody, which may help investigators understand the planning behind the attack. The hope is that information from that arrest can prevent further violence and reduce the risk to both security personnel and civilians. Follow for a daily world brief. Sources are linked in the description. That's the world, as Minerva saw it.